Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome
Hello.
to the Urban Ministry's third installment of Lunch with an Artist. I'm Bithia Israel, Social Justice Fellow for the Arts and Humanities, here with fellow artist, Hakim Raquib. Hi, Hakim.
Hello. Hello, all. Good afternoon.
So, if you've been following our artist amplification project, you may or may not know Hakim is a photographer and also does other visual art, which he'll go into in a minute. So, first, we'd like to show you the virtual gallery that we featured Hakim in. And then, after the virtual gallery, please consider yourself a participant over the next 40 minutes. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, comments, anything that you'd like to ask Hakim so we can dive into that. So thank you so much. And here's the virtual gallery.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Hakim. The images in this collection span over 50 years. I remember going out into the community, taking pictures all day, and coming back to the studio to develop negatives and print all in the same day into the late hours of the night. I love making black and white prints. Watching the image emerge from the developer was magical. It was quite a process. I think that was what got me hooked, making the prints. I spent hours in the darkroom. I believe it laid the foundation for my career. The first three images in this series are my first successful prints I made over 50 years ago. Bolero, The Drink, and Belkis, I believe, represent my style. I love the magic and the mystery and the dark tones and the tightness in the composition. I always believed in the physical print as the final statement. Once created, it takes on its own identity. Over the years, my camera has taken me around the world: Japan, Africa, Europe, Middle East, Taiwan, North America, to name a few. So many of the images in this collection are from my travels to Egypt, Zimbabwe, Spain, Guadeloupe, and Mexico, and of course, here at home. At the beginning of the millennium, I started developing new skills in the realm of digital art photography. The tools and the language are different, but the print still is a statement. I've always experimented, but with this new medium, digital photography, I feel the possibilities are endless, more intuitive. The last few images in this collection are digital results, and the last one being a tribute to New Orleans surviving Hurricane Katrina. I use this image often to represent my styling, my posting of work on social media. That's about what I have to say for now, but I hope to say more later. And now that I have this opportunity, I would like to thank the Unitarian Universalist Urban Mission for allowing me to share my work. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the tech team in the background for doing the media sharing.
Hmm.
Yes. So, yes, thank you for joining us, Hakim. And while our participants are thinking of their questions and comments to place in the chat or raise your hand, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So, Hakim, it's been about 2 years since we
Yeah.
did the last virtual gallery. We'd like to know, what are you currently working on?
Well, currently I'm exploring the work that I mentioned in the last video that you did around the new techno vocabulary or vernacular. I've been working primarily in digital algorithms with my photography, which is getting me to look at some other aspects of what is possible with the new medium. I'm still working with the traditional, that is, image, but I'm adding more dimension to it to see where it can go. So there's a new aesthetic that I'm working through right now in design and just actually how math plays into this new techno vernacular, which is
Thank you.
basically a new terminology for what is taking place. A lot of artists have been doing this for maybe 5 years. I think that it's time I got into it a little bit more serious. Although I don't do coding, I use the generators that are existing that create this possibility and algorithms to transform the imagery.
Thank
Some
you,
people,
Hakim. You know, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go
no,
ahead.
no, it's fine. Some people call it manipulation. I call it transformative.
Oh,
And I think that's what it's important here is that we're moving in another platform in terms of how we look at art aesthetically today. So it's sort of like a new community, a new humanities in art.
yes, New Frontier. Well, as you were mentioning that, I wanted to show the audience these new pieces that you're speaking of
Okay.
as you're giving us the you're decoding it for us. And excuse the
Sure,
pun.
sure.
I've never had the opportunity to hear directly from the artist what is happening with images when I see such renditions. So, tech team, if you can please share Hakim's latest art with us. And Hakim, I'll give you the floor, please.
Okay, thank you, Bithia. Always a pleasure. This work here was created when Ahmed Arbery won this case. As you all know his story, he was murdered while jogging in his community. And it struck a chord with me. So I wanted to create something in his honor and remembrance. So this is a kind of a homage for um, Avery because he had such an exquisite future like ahead of him. He was such a young man. So I used two elements in this work. Well, maybe there are three elements, but this is a digitized image, making it appear to be more of a painting. But I created a filter, a construct where the background pattern is more of like a checkerboard that gives a sense of it being put back together again. Uh, so there's that beauty that I use with color and harmonized his tones. And I gave way to his life, how it ended. His bow tie, I used the opportunity to bring a lynching noose into it. That is for the narrative for discussion that I wanted to have about how he died as well.
Hmm.
That's homage to Ahmed Arbery. Next one is fine. Next. Oh, of course, this is a great day in Roxbury, which was inspired by the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry that I was commissioned to create. It was a great day, actually, and it was, coined appropriately. Um, it's one of my favorite shots. It was taken during the COVID about, as it says, 11/6/21. But this was taken in Kittredge Square, and it was quite a moment. A lot of my friends are there as well, so I was very happy to be called to do the assignment to commission. Thank you. Next. Oh, I forgot about this. This is a work that it's a montage that I created using the algorithm in a program called Deep Dream that was created by Google. What I did is I used two images. This is James Farmer, who is the founder of CORE, Congress of Racial Equality. And he was the freedom rider. And if you know, this was a civil rights movement that was to end Jim Crow, so to speak, in the Deep South. And Farmer was one who started the first wave of freedom riders. And in protest, he was arrested, of course. And if you may know of all the sit-ins that happened during that time, they were beaten and arrested. And this image is part of an exhibition that I submitted to at Cambridge College. That should be showing sometime in April 12th. It's online. It's under the banner Violence Transformed as well as Cambridge College. The next one. But this is a suggestion of the work that I'm doing with the digital platform. These are all images that started out pretty much as straight, and then I would create a filter and feed it into the generator to create a new pattern of abstraction and color, to look at the image from a different perspective. And this is, I call it I Like Spike. And this is the dandy Spike Lee, who is an American filmmaker. Next. This is recent. I did this the other day. This is also one of my ways of looking at documentary. This image was actually taken in Nubian Square in celebration of Nubian Square being coined a neighborhood of that name. And this is in the parking lot at the Haley Coffee House. And these Reveliers are from a group called Rara, which is a Haitian group that usually participates in Carnival. And this was an impromptu get together. So I captured this on that day, which was kind of overcast and cloudy, but I induced it through some burning and bringing out the drama of the moment for myself, which was pretty much a laid back day. Thank you for that one. Next. This is a homage to the great Sidney Poitier, an American actor who won the first Academy Award as a Black actor. And this image was inspired by the play A Raisin in the Sun. This is a filter that I created where I used geometrics to abstract the house in the background. And I felt that I would add color to this one to make it more vibrant. It was a very laid back image at first. I wish I had the other one to show the comparison, but I settled for this one because it kind of suggests the play itself, if you've seen it, The Raisin in the Sun, is pretty dramatic about a Black family buying its first home in America, which is always a problem even today. Okay, the next one. Of course, this is another rendition of that same piece I discussed earlier about Spike Lee. And this is where I use another filter, but the results are slightly different. I wonder if you could blow into that or blow it up more so you could see, yeah, go more into it. So you can see sort of what happens structurally to the image itself. And it's still the image, but it's taking on another dimension in geometrics and patterns, which I'm beginning to like in structure. So it's sort of a digital Bauhaus. Okay. Yeah, so I'm participating in lately.
Thank you, Hakim. I wanted to know I'm sorry.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I wanted to know if participants are interested in obtaining one of these, ordering one of these works of art, what dimensions are available for these for order?
Well, they come in various sizes. It depends on your wall space. I mean, I tend to print exhibition size, and that's relatively over 23 inches, 24 inches by 36, but I can print 11, 14, 16, 20s. But some images, you don't want to do that. You want to keep the size that gives the maximum impact of the work. So you can look into it, you can see it, and it breathes. So all works aren't necessarily based on wall space. It has something to do with the content of the image and how it should be seen. But sure, you can get it a postage stamp if you want it, but I don't think so. I think that it requires a good wall. I have space, so I show my work relatively over 20 inches.
Yes, thank you. And more about your space in a minute, which is very exciting to me, your studio. I see a hand up. Barbara?
Barbara, hi.
Hi. I apologize for the crash behind me. Painting just fell off the wall. A
Okay.
photograph fell off the wall in homage to you. I'm very interested in the digitization process you use because the images are really high impact. And I'm curious how it affects the color. Some of them look like mosaics, some of them look like quilts, some of them look like batik almost. So
That's excellent.
how do you get, uh, does your algorithm take the color from the original image and just mush it wherever the little folds are, or do you control that? Because
Well,
you're
I control it. I mean, essentially, the algorithm actually moves the image based on the filter it's fed and sort of morphs it into a shape and dimension. And there is a basic color that's there, but I usually take it a step further, and I use a platform called Photoshop, and there is a lot of third-party software that's available that I use to enhance the image. So it's very intuitive in the process for me, because once the image is created, I'm thinking about, well, where else can this go? And what is the emotion that I can evoke from it that I'm feeling at that time? It's extremely intuitive. So colors happen as I'm working on the image, and the satisfaction comes when it's obtained, which is, I don't know when it happens, but it happens. It just sort of, okay, this is it. But yeah, there is a secondary process, post-production, to the algorithm or the generating of the image.
and that's the printing, so that's where you do the dodging and the burning.
And yeah, pretty much so in a photo editing platform, I do a lot of that. But it happens intuitively. You have the image, and then you begin to enhance it in many ways. You remove things, and you add things. It's a process like a painter. You're actually painting digitally. Once you have your canvas, you then begin to add what you feel or don't feel should be there.
Thank
It
you.
is it is a process. It's not just pushing a button and a generator gives you an algorithm and there it is. I mean, that's a mathematical possibility that's unknown. But from there, you can pretty much understand how it's going to happen in light and dark shades. It's predictable in that sense. So you go back to it when you make adjustments to the image or the filter that you feed as well into the generator.
And I
Thank
have
you.
one last
Oh,
follow-up on that because I
go
was
ahead.
really taken in your black and white photographs. I was really taken by your
Well,
ability to
the
capture
older
light
ones,
and
those
shade.
are
Yeah, but that's light and shade is black on black and white on white is the hardest thing in the world to photograph, and you do it supremely well. And I'm wondering whether your ability through a conventional lens with a conventional camera translated to your ability with the digital tools that you've got, or whether you had to learn them over again.
oh no, I think it all works hand in hand. I think the camera is just an extension of your vision. And basically, I'm a printer by heart. I mean, I learned photography by printing. I mean, I love making photographs. I mean, taking them, capturing an image is a delight. But for me, the experience came in creating the image in terms of my sensibility and how I was feeling. And that was in the old days, the chemistry. Those early three photographs in the presentation and the video were three of my earliest photographs. And so when I studied photography, I learned the zone system, which is a point of looking at tones in black and white from 0 being black to 9 being pure white. And in between, you have several shades of gray. And the placement of your tonality was based on how you processed your film and even how you photographed. So it was a science that you had to learn. And once you learn that, then you're free to break the rules and do what you want. So I figured that out, that I wanted to hang around perceptibly shadow areas and highlights that were around, if you look at it from 0 to 9, around, 3 and 7.
Thank you so much. And this brings me to another point. I'm sure there are participants who would love to connect with you, Hakim, later on.
Sure.
So tech team, if you can also put Hakim's email in the chat. Thank you. I see it there. Everyone can contact you with even more questions. So Hakim,
Sure.
Can you tell us about your space and what participants can look forward to if they make an appointment with you? I know I've been there at AMARP. Can you tell us a little bit about your
Sure.
studio?
Well, a studio is a working space. I mean, I have a studio practice where I do my printing and also my mounting and framing. And essentially, the gallery itself is existing where there's my work present there with the other colleagues. That is at AMARP, the African American Master Artist in Residence Program. And to be honest, we're going through a little transition right now in terms of that space, but currently I'm there and working still every day. Pretty much I go there and do what I have to do.
It's amazing. It's amazing to see your huge prints that you have available there. So
yeah,
I would
always
encourage.
changing. It's always changing because it is, to see the work is important. So you have to put it up. I mean, looking at a digital image or any image on the screen is a big difference when you see it in person. I mean, there is that connection that you make to the image and its surface, its texture, its color. Yeah, seeing the print is everything to me. You have to see the work.
Definitely.
Ultimately, that's where you make decisions about what else can happen.
May I ask, let me see, I'm going to check the chat to see if there are any questions. I don't want to ignore anyone. No, I don't see. Okay, so Hakim, I was curious about that piece entitled, is it Ra Ra or Ray Ray? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Ra Ra.
Ra Ra.
Yes.
And you talked about turning up the drama in this. Can you just speak a little bit to that?
Well, the tonality was very flat. I mean, except for the shadows. And I wanted to bring things closer together. So what I did was I cut all the images out and then I put them back together again in order for them to have a more unified pyramid composition.
Oh, so it's a collage.
And yeah, it's a collage in terms that I moved the images to bring them closer together. Okay. Because I wanted the impact of the image. It spoke to me that way. That's the magic of digital art today. You can virtually do what you're thinking, and that helps to create more impactful imagery. It's all what you want. And then it's the clouds. The clouds was a flat day, so I just toned up the drama a bit. And so it made it a little bit more dramatic to give it that, you know?
Wow. So
yeah. So there's that play in the image, but it's how you want to do it.
I see a hand up. Oh.
Sure.
Hi. Thank you, Hakim. I see a hand up, Reverend Mary Margaret.
Hi, hi Hakim.
Hi,
nice
Mary.
to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I just wanted to acknowledge again, one of the photos that I find so stunning is at the end of the video, the women on the shore of the water. It's just a stunning photo.
Oh, thank you. That was an interesting day. It was. That was a day actually it was a few years ago, 2 years ago during, yeah, it was before the COVID, actually. And it was a day of remembrance of the ancestors of the African diaspora. And these women from Sisters of the Calabash came together to pay homage at this space in Dorchester called Castle Island. And this is a capture, I consider this a straight photograph. The light was, it was breaking, and they were just in the right place, and I was there at the right time. So I guess I was blessed to have that photograph. But there is a whole series of images called the Summer Solstice that was published in a magazine called The Solstice. It's online, New England. But it has many photographs of this moment. Thank you for liking it. Huh?
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. It was digitally captured, but that's it. Nothing else. And just made a print, and it worked. Hi, Mark.
Yes, Mark, see your hand up.
Hello, Hakim. It's such a pleasure to see your work again.
Thank you.
I'm just still so curious about your movement from, let's call it, more straightforward photography early on. At least that's the way I think of it, where you, at least as I imagined it, I've just done photography personally, but that first there's the reality that you're capturing, your relationship to it, what's happening where you are, and then there's the printing process. But it seems like the more recent stuff that you're doing with the digital, what you didn't call it manipulation, you said transformation. As you said, that you're sort of like a painter, and to me, I imagine that as a very different relationship to what you do or what the final product is than like waiting for that moment with the camera in zone 7 or 3. And I'm just curious, like, does it feel like a continuum that that you really are doing the same thing, or do you feel that you were whenever 20 years ago, or do you feel like you're doing a different kind of art?
Well, it's different, but the emotional content is still the same. I'm still in awe of what I do, and I want to keep that joy going. So you make transitions in work. I mean, it's sort of like playing the same tune all the time. You want to change it every now and then, so you add a different chord here and there, and you might change the harmony a little bit, but essentially you're doing the same thing. It's a practice. It's a practice of searching for the truth within yourself. It's a searching for what is right for you and what makes sense to others for you. I mean, everyone has a story, so I'm making my stories as I live. I think that I don't separate travel work from a photograph I'll make on my dog sitting on the bed. To me, they're the same. It's what I do later with it. Okay, there's a transformation there that takes place. But that's also, like I said, I use the word intuitive. Things happen. You feel a certain thing, and then you go into that process. There are tools there. Why not use them? But photography, for me, is always visualization, seeing. What is it that you're seeing? How are you seeing it? How do you want to see it, ultimately? How do we want to see the world that we inhabit? What moves do we make to make that transition? I think photography is a good vehicle for explanation of that, today in particular. as I said, it's computational humanities I'm dealing with now through a so-called techno vernacular. So there's a whole new vocabulary to express a new way of seeing.
Hakim, may I ask a question to piggyback off of that? How would you like to see your work as far as in relation to the public? What would be your dream in the continuum? You have a very in-depth career, but from where we're standing right now, what would be your desire for your work?
Well, I like everyone to see my work always. I mean, it's about exhibition spaces and having your work positioned in museums and archived historically in institutions. But ultimately, I just want to make a series of works that can be published in book form and also images that can be archived in boxes of prints. See, that in itself is a practice of looking at your legacy. I mean, how do you want it to end up? Not just on people's walls, of course, but there is a public arena and space that they should exist. And I think that you can go see my work at the MFA if you ask to go to the print collection, and the work is there. And that's early works of mine that I photographed here in the community in Roxbury. But ultimately, I would like my work to be positioned in historical places and spaces that all can see them historically. It's posterity that I think about in many ways. I was at least taught that anyhow. I don't know if that's the ultimate, because my granddaughter collects a lot of my work. So that's meaningful to me.
Well, it's really encouraging to see how much you put online also through Violence Transformed. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how we can find you online?
Oh, online? I think I'm not a traditionalist in that regard, but let me speak first that Violence Transformed, I've been working with them as a curator over the years. In particular, during the COVID, we established a series of, I think it was 7 or 8 featured exhibits of artists dealing with the social conditions. Some of these artists are social activists, and some were aesthetically showing their works from various stages, but they were all in line with the concept of social change. That is what inequality, which is the mantra for Violence Transformed. There is an exhibit that's going to be there now that I'm participating in that I mentioned earlier on the civil rights, and it's coined John Lewis, the late John Lewis, Senator John Lewis coined good fight, good trouble. Excuse me.
Yes.
Good Trouble is the title of the show. And I did 2 works, 3, 4, 5. Some will be online, some will be, there are 2 in the exhibition. And they're all community artists here in Boston. They'll be in the show. And it will be shown, I believe it's April 12th.
Wonderful. And
it'll be a physical show. And then it'll be online as well.
And thank you to our tech team. You've posted in the chat, Violence Transformed, the link to follow the show that Hakim mentioned.
Oh, it's there. Good.
Yes, thank you. And so we have about 4 more minutes. Are there any other questions or comments for Hakim?
Okay.
Well, I'm just really grateful for your time, Hakim, and it's been so fun. Yeah, it's been so fun to, yeah.
Always enjoy sharing, and thank you, the Urban Universal Ministry, for helping me to show my work. It's been a very positive experience working with you, and I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you so much, and just also thank you for being available. So,
yeah, hanging out is good. I mean, this is great. This is great. I have a good time. Thank you.
Yes, I do see one more hand up. Barbara, the floor is yours.
I'm curious, Hakim,
Yes.
when someone buys one of your photos, how do you recommend that they preserve it from light and just fading?
Well, hopefully they don't put it in direct sunlight and they use non-glare glass if necessary. But actually, the process has now come to a point where archival inks are used and archival papers, which have a long longevity. I use pigment inks, which have a steady fast of maybe 250 years. And some cases, my current large works, of course, you don't put them under glass because, or it'd be too weighty. So I mount them on a aluminum. So this aluminum base is about a quarter of an inch, yeah, thick, and the print is adhered to the surface and it floats. It's a way of looking at work at a large scale because works like that to frame are very expensive, which hence comes me back to working a lot with canvas. It's easier to work with. And now today, you can coat surfaces with archival sprays to increase their protection and longevity. But overall, one doesn't need to put their work in the sunlight directly. I mean, you could put it in a shaded area, a diffused area, but I wouldn't recommend putting anything in sunlight too long, even though it has a specific base for longevity.
Thank you so much for that question, Barbara. I would have been one of these people who put something in the sunshine and then sorry a few years later. So thank you for that. Oh,
100
so
years later, okay.
right, that's true. A good point. Good point. Any other comments, anyone? We'd love to hear from participants if you'd like to say
Yeah,
or ask anything.
I'm always curious what people are thinking.
I do see comments in the chat. Oh, okay. I see a hand up. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Is it Cushing?
Pushing, yes. Thank you so much, Hakim. This has been a really fascinating presentation, and your description of your art is understandable, which is not always the case for me with artists describing their work. Could you tell us a little more about the Cambridge College display coming up, the dates and how where it is, just a little bit?
Oh, okay. It's on Rutherford Road. Is in kind of the border of Charlestown. Do you know? Are you familiar with Cambridge College? You could actually Google it, but it's right next to Bunker Hill Community College on that thoroughfare there. But the
what
show
are the
itself,
dates?
well, that's what I'm curious about myself because I think the opening, there are two shows actually. There's a virtual show, which I think starts, it should be up now actually, on Violence Transformed and Cambridge College. They are teaming together to do this collaboration. But the physical show itself is up now, okay, at Cambridge College. It was put up, I think the 15th. Yeah, the 15th. And so the opening will be April 12th, I believe. I can't be more specific than that, but you could check on that online.
Thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
Yes, and also go ahead, Hakim.
No, I just said thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we also put Hakim's email and also the link on Violence Transformed in the chat. So please take note of that if you'd like to reach out to Hakim. He's very reachable. And we just want to thank you all so much for joining us for this lunchtime with an artist. So to close out, we'd love to show a local commercial featuring Frugal Bookstore, right located in Nubian Square. Thank you so much, and hope to see you at the next online event.
Thank you so much. That was fast.
Here we are.
All right.
Be right there.
Welcome to Frugal Bookstore in famous Nubian Square. My name is Leonard Egerton. I'm one of the owners, along with my wife Clarissa, and we are standing in our children's corner. Well, Frugal Bookstore actually opened in 2001. Bob Romano, who had Frugal Furniture Stores, and he had a niche in every furniture store. I came in there and I just saw all these books, and I was like, one of these days, this is going to be my store. We was actually in the Washington Park Mall at the time. And I worked with him, and then my wife, Clarissa, Frugal Store in 2005. We were there until 2016, when we moved to what was Dudley Square then, which is now Nubian Square. And we've been here for 4 years.
Hi, everyone. My name is Clarissa Cropper Egerton, and I am one of the co-owners of Frugal Bookstore. Welcome. One of the things that we definitely want to incorporate this year in 2021 is having virtual events with authors. A lot of authors have emailed us with interest in wanting to have an event with us, so we are looking forward to bringing that to you. Sure. So right now we have our children's corner, hardcover children's books, there's story picture books here. So these are the beginner reader books here. So for children in kindergarten, preschool, our toddler section. So we have a bunch of board books for toddlers, anywhere from 6 months to young adult. Nonfiction section here. And then we have our fiction books over here. And then we get into the YA fantasy.
This is a really, really good series. This is a Black scientist. His name is Max Axiom.
Yes.
So Max Axiom talks about a number of different things. Like this one is about cell phone technology.
STEM.
He's riding down the throat, the digestive system. Max Axiom.
So our section here is our children's Latinx section. Over here, we have our nonfiction section. We have autobiography sections against the wall here. We have history section. In the front, we have current events. We have sports biography, music biography, and our African American studies section.
And we have our crime and mystery section right here with one of our well-known authors, Walter Mosley. We even have some John Grisham. Octavia Butler is featured here because she's just one of the most sought-after sci-fi writers.
We also carry Bibles.
And Qurans.
And Qurans as well. And we have them in English, and we have children's Bibles.
To order online, all you have to do is just go to frugalbookstore.net. It's very simple. You can also buy gift cards. And it's an easy process just checking out. Our hours of operation are Monday through Wednesday, 10 to 3 p.m., Thursday and Friday, 10 to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 10 to 3 p.m. The mission of Frugal Bookstore is to change minds one book at a time and to increase the literacy in our community. You missed it. You missed it. I'm a star.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I'm going to call it right now. I think I found these